Ahead this morning, changing education, the shift in your children's classrooms after President Trump ordered school systems drop DEI. Some of President Trump's executive orders will change policies and curriculum for progressive school districts across the country, including transgender ideology as well as illegal discrimination. Joining us this morning to discuss is Parents Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Erika, good morning to you. Yesterday, the Department of Education did take action to eliminate DEI in public schools. First, talk about what this means. What does this entail?
I mean, the Trump administration has basically taken a sledgehammer to everything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I was thinking back of all the times you and I have spoken over the past couple of years, and pretty much every single troubling, alarming, disturbing incident that we discussed would now find itself ensnared in what this administration has done. Because any sort of discrimination based on race, right? Whether you're including or excluding students, whether you're including or excluding staff, whether you're getting money from grants to pursue initiatives. And also, so much of what school districts were doing over the years was coming down from the Department of Education, because they were just, equity, 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 equity. And that is gonna end. I mean, these timelines are a little bit I want to say it's about 120 days, but don't quote me, where like the different departments are going to have to get guidance out to school districts, et cetera, to help them understand what it is that they need to do and not do to get in line with this.
Yeah, it's an ambitious timeline because you essentially have to reverse the past 4 years of the previous administration. As you mentioned, it falls in line with the executive order to end illegal discrimination and restore merit-based opportunities. How does this also fall in line with some of the studies that your organization has done as far as what parents want in public education for their children?
Again, I was thinking, we just discussed that poll, right? And one of the things that we saw was parents really shifted in this election in significant numbers to Trump for the first time. And my sense is, well, all the pundits are sort of out there still, I don't know what happened, or sort of like having these ridiculous conversations about the election. Trump knew. My sense is he and his people knew, just like we had an ear to the ground that this was coming because of what we were hearing from parents, they clearly knew that parents had really reached a tipping point in terms of this sort of obsession with race and gender in their schools. And I suspect that many parents across the political spectrum, when they hear about this, are going to be like, oh my God, thank God it's about time. Because keep in mind, the first Trump administration didn't really tackle this. This stuff had been in place for a long time. Obama had instituted much of it. It didn't really change because I'm not sure that at that time people had a real understanding of what it was. Post 2020, people have an understanding, and he's just coming in and kind of blowing the whole thing up.
And this is exactly what happened when kids were at home and not going to school, and parents could see what was really happening in their child's classroom. Another conversation that we've had over and over again, and that's kind of what blew this thing all up, right? Which is kind of how a lot of these grassroots organizations like yours really began. One of Trump's executive orders is titled "The Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government." We talked about this so many times. I think this was definitely an underestimated issue during the elections. What does this all mean for schools going forward? And what's the timeline here?
They have a shorter timeline on this one. I'm pretty sure they have to get this new guidance out within 30 days. So this was a top priority as predicted. And again, they're basically saying male and female, that's it. So any sort of federal documents, et cetera, all of these other genders and words that have been invented in recent years, those are gone. And so they're moving back to that. And the other thing is it's very much about reestablishing the boundaries of private spaces. They have women in the name, but the reality is, I would argue boys need protection from this ideology as well. And the private spaces will be for girls and women, but also for the boys. And it also is going to mean, again, the sports will be, right on the table in terms of get the boys out of the sports, get the boys out of the, and men out of the restrooms and the locker rooms, et cetera. And again, reestablish this idea that that you're male or you're female, and that's the messaging that's going to be coming out of schools, which is a big change because now we see, some schools teaching children that there's 50, 60, 80 different genders. And this is just, again, this was a top priority, and I think we're going to see big changes. And I think school districts are now going to hope and pray that their lawyers understand what's going on. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure a lot of them do.
And again, this is what the majority of parents on numerous polls have said, but not just parents. A driving force behind this was young women, Gen Z and millennial women. We saw a huge uprising in that specific demographic during the elections as well. Director of Outreach, go ahead.
And not just our polling, but also
a
week or two after ours, the New York Times polling confirmed it. This number was just massive in the general public and with parents. And I think, again, like, and also this is a promises made, promises kept.
Yeah, and it certainly transcends the political spectrum here. Parents Defending Education, Erika Sanzi. We appreciate you joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jan. You too.